everybody, and welcome back to my studio. Today I am going to be talking about this 30-inch by 40-inch beach painting that I just recently completed. So this is an oil painting, and I haven't really tried a lot of different kinds of oil paints, but primarily and really only I've been using water mixable oils of the Georgian brand and the Winsor & Newton. And I use the water mixable oils because, well, first of all, Tim Packer, my mentor, recommended them to me. That's what he uses. Second of all, my studio is actually in my bedroom, so I just sleep right over there, and I don't want all of the smells of like regular oil paint and turpentine that you have to use to wash the regular oil paint. So that's why I use water mixable oils, and I really like them. I would like to try regular and other kinds of oil paints someday, but for now I'm sticking to the water mixables. So that's the kind of paint I was using. There's a few different things that I tried differently for this piece, which was exciting. This piece is actually pretty significant just in the fact that it's the first one that I've done in a really long time that hasn't been a commissioned piece. So meaning I wasn't hired to do this one. This is just solely my work that I'm using to build up an inventory, since I really am running low on paintings. So that's what's really exciting about this piece, is that it came from a memory that I had in Croatia last summer. And I'm not painting from my memories. I actually always paint from my own photography. So this is based on a photo that I took at this beach in Croatia, and it was really just like a really colorful picture, and I thought that it would make a really fun painting just with the pops of color and with all the beach umbrellas and stuff like that. So that's why I decided to do it. It also brings back a lot of good memories, so that's something that's important too. So what I tried differently with this piece, which I normally don't, is that I didn't use any black paint, which is the first time I've ever done that. So instead of using black, I was mixing my own darks, and I really don't have that many different colors. So I was working with phthalo blue, magenta, and cadmium yellow medium hue, and I just kind of like mixed those all together until I got this like almost really dark purple color, and that's what I used as my black, which in the darkest parts of the painting, as you can see, like up in here and down here. If you look closely, you can tell that it's more of like a really dark purple color than an actual black, and I really liked the effect that I got out of that, just because I felt like the colors were so much more deeper and less muddy. Like I found when I was working, especially in acrylic paints, and I was always using black, whenever I needed to mix a darker color, I would always just mix it with black, and then it kind of loses its brightness. So that's what I like about this technique that I'm trying out, and that I will definitely stick with in the future. Another thing that I tried that I've never done before is priming or toning my canvas bright pink before I started. So a lot of you were asking, like on my Facebook page and on my Instagram, why I started with this bright pink background. And the reason why is because since I'm working with oil, and this is more of a new medium for me, like usually I'm doing my work in acrylic, and I'm really used to approaching an acrylic painting with layers, and just layering and layering and layering the paint, working from background to foreground. But I'm finding that that's very difficult with oil paint, since it dries so slowly. And every time I'm trying to layer paint with oil, I'm constantly picking up colors from the layer underneath, and that causes an issue. So I approach this painting more of kind of like a puzzle, and I'm putting different sections of the painting together. So for example, this is all one section, this is one section, this is one section, and this is one section. So, and within those sections I was layering to an extent, but I So with these different puzzle piece sections, not all of them like fully, oh, and the sky would also be a different section too, but not all of them are gonna fully connect. So that's where this pink underpainting kind of shines through. And you'll see that like right up here on this horizon line, and down here across the beach, and just in like really all over the painting, you'll see this pink color kind of shine through, and it gives it like a really unifying look. And that was something that I've never tried before, so I was really happy with that too, because I think that for this painting at least it worked out, because I knew this is going to be a really bright and fun and colorful painting, so that's why I chose such a bright and fun and colorful color. Another thing that I tried with this painting is mixing my oil paint with sand. And the sand that I used, well, it's just in this Tupperware right now, but basically it's just, I got it at Sarah's, and it's just like a craft sand, and it's kind of like a grayish tan color, and I just mixed that with the sandy colored oil paint, and it gave it a lot of texture. And this texture is like sand texture, so I thought, what better way not to try this technique out than on a beach where it's made of sand. And yeah, so I think it works for this painting because that it is actually a beach painting. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use this technique in other paintings if it's not of a similar subject matter, but I did use the sand like all in here and also along these rocks just to kind of give it some more texture. And yeah. And then the last thing that I did differently with this, which I usually don't, is I painted the sides of the canvas as a continuation of the painting, because usually I will just paint the sides of the canvas completely black. And this time I decided what I think I should, yeah, just so basically there you can see it's a continuation, and I really like this. I really like this look. Usually the reason why I paint the sides of the canvas black is just because it makes it look almost like it's sitting in a frame, and sometimes that's a really nice look. But for this one, I just tried painting the sides, and I like how it turned out. So now you can take a look at the time-lapse video that I created of this piece. A lot of you had been asking me to make a time-lapse video, so I just dove right into it. Unfortunately, I messed it up a little bit because I guess I wasn't really calculating how much time this piece was actually going to take me because I haven't worked on something this big in a while. So when I was doing my time lapse, I was setting the photos to be taken every 12 seconds, which ended up being like so many pictures, and eventually my memory card on my camera just got completely filled up, and I was like, oh god, I didn't realize how many pictures I was taking. And then when I went to go make the time lapse, I was doing it this one way and it was taking forever, and I was getting super frustrated, and then I found this other way that worked way better, and then I ended up accidentally deleting a huge part of the time lapse, so I apologize for that. You'll see in the time lapse that I paint the sky, and then all of a sudden this entire section is painted, and I'm working now on this, and yeah, well, sorry, I'll be better next time. I'm just figuring it out, and I'm realizing more and more that I'm way better with brushes and paint than I am with technology. So anyways, I hope you enjoy the time lapse, and I'll talk about it after. enjoyed that. Sorry again for jumping all over the place and missing a huge chunk. But I'll just walk you through kind of like how I started and completed the painting. So first I started with the sky, and I actually think I was just blessing oil paint while I was painting this, just because blending such a huge surface like this with acrylic would have been a total nightmare because it dries so quickly, but with oil I was just like, oh, like blending it so perfectly, and I was just really satisfied with that. So I did the sky first, and well, actually the very first thing that I did was I toned my canvas pink, and then I went in with, actually I think I used like a bright blue pencil crayon over top of the pink, and I just like sketched out these puzzle pieces as I was talking about earlier, just so that I could really kind of understand how the piece was going to come together and make sure that the composition was in the right. Like you're building more of this, more depth when you're layering the lighter colors on top of the dark, and so that's kind of how I approached all these tiny little bushes and trees that are all up in these hills. And it was a really cool part of the time lapse. I'm really mad at myself that I deleted it, but anyways, yeah, I'll be better next time. And then moving from here, I like quickly painted. Oh, so I was having trouble deciding how I was going to approach the beach because there's so many different colors on here. I wasn't sure if I should be painting all of the tiny people and the tiny beach umbrellas and toys first, and then painting the beach afterwards. So as you can tell from the time lapse, I kind of had this one like really, where was it? I think like over here. There's one lonely person under their umbrella because I wanted to paint them first and see how hard it was going to be to kind of paint the beach around them. Because I thought that by doing that, I would also be leaving these pink underpainting underneath, and it could look really cool. But I shortly found out after drawing the first umbrella in person that was a bad way to approach it, because it was going to take me forever to try and like put the beach all around this tiny little person. So instead of doing that approach, I basically scrubbed this sand color like into the canvas, so it was a really thin layer. It's not like I was slabbing it on. I was like basically like scraping it into the canvas just so that you could get the color, but not like nothing else, just like a flat color. And then that dried really quickly, like after like a couple days. So then I was able to, after those couple days, paint on top of it because it was dry already. And then once I painted on top of it all of these tiny little people, then I went in after and like did the sand texture and the paint thing and put that all around and painted around that way. And yeah, I was having a little bit of trouble because in my mind, like for me, I've always been a very like realistic, like hyper-realistic painter, and it's been a challenge for me to kind of let go of that, and I'm really trying to jump more into this impressionistic style and like see where that can take me. So with this painting, I kind of had this image in my head that all of these little people on the beach were just gonna be really like, you know, you would be able to tell what they are, but really just like impressions, like slabs of color, and from afar you would be able to see that they were like umbrellas and that kind of thing, but up close it would be kind of more like abstracted. But unfortunately I didn't succeed in that because my mind just loves to render, and I ended up rendering a lot more than I would have liked to. I mean, it's still not like hyper realism or anything, but yeah, I think I'm gonna work on that for my next painting, just kind of let loose a little bit. Yeah, so then after I was done the, I guess I did this section before I did this one. And yeah, I guess there's not really much to say about this. You could see how I completed it on the time lapse. I'm really working on trying to explain myself a little bit better. I'm sorry that if you're really frustrated right now watching this being like, how did you do it? I'm like trying to explain it, but I can explain the water. So what I did for the water was the same kind of approach as the sand. So I did a thin layer of blue, and so I took a step back from the photo that I was referencing as I was making this this painting, and I could see, like, when you just kind of blur your vision a bit, you can really get the ideas of the values in the blue. So how I started was, I could see in the photo how there was this section of blue that went from this really nice light turquoise color down to this like kind of like medium, more ultramarine kind of blue, and then kind of slowly moving up here to like the darkest value that was almost like, it was a bit more green because of the reflection of this hill up here. And so I just blended those all together. So starting from this light value to this mid value to this dark value, and just kind of like blended the whole thing. And again, yes, for oil paints, that it allows you to blend so nicely, so smoothly, and so quickly. So, and then that was a really thin layer, and then from there, I took a Q-tip and I just smudged out, like scraped off some paint with the Q-tip where I wanted the people to be in the painting. So we have all these people down here, and right on the shoreline I just kind of like smudged it out so it was pink underneath, and it was just those pink shadows, so I know that's where the people were gonna go. And then I painted the people in, and then I started on the waves of the painting. So this was a bit of a challenge because, again, I really didn't want to like render every single wave that was on here. I knew that that would take ages, and that's not the effect that I was going for anyways. So again, it's important, I think, when you're painting to kind of like take a step back every now and then and look at it and see the whole picture, because it's really easy when you're doing a painting this big to get like so zoned in on one thing that you're not really seeing the whole picture. So I take a step back and I kind of I was looking at my reference photo and seeing how there was all these tiny little waves, but there was actually these bigger waves too that you don't actually see so much when you're just looking at it casually. So these bigger waves, you can see these lighter values kind of coming in here. And so then I focused on that, and I put those light values in to show these kind of bigger waves. And then it was just a matter of getting my brush, and I'm trying to see if I can find the brush that I used, but basically it was like a flat brush with point. I need to learn my brush terms because that's probably not so helpful for you, but something like this, if you can see. That's probably really blurry, but anyway, so yeah, I just then started with the little waves, and looking at the darkest values in the waves, I kind of replicated those shapes a little bit here and there, as you could see in the time lapse, and then just like highlighting and mixing colors, like all of the different colors that I was seeing. I was having so much fun on my palette, just like mixing all these different shades of turquoise and all these different shades of blue, and then you just use them like all on the canvas, and it was really fun actually, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, I hope that kind of explains it. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can write them on in the comments section, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. And I will also try and be a better tutorial leader, because I don't think I'm very good at it, but I hope you enjoyed this video anyways. And yeah, stay tuned for more. If you liked this video or found it helpful or entertaining or anything, then please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and yeah, I'm Brooke Cormier, and I'll see you next time.